Everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince!
Vince, guess what it's time for, man?
Oh, is it time to take over the world again?
No, but even better than that, we're bringing back the Multi-Topic Extravaganza. Here we are again. Doesn't it feel like we just did this?
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, to me, it feels like we just... All right, well, you know, you don't have to cooperate. I don't care. It feels like, to me, we just got done with one of these. But it's been several months, and we try to do a Multi-Topic Extravaganza every year. So for the next several weeks, we're going to be taking your questions, and we'll be answering them on camera. So what we're looking for are questions about anything pop culture-wise, anything you might want to ask, and really anything in general that you might want to ask us. We're not going to promise that we will read all of them, of course, as always, that we'll answer all of them. And if they get super personal, we might, read one and make fun of you and then move on. But, just depending on what they are, we'll do as many of them as we can. We ask everyone to please don't ask more than 2 questions in your comment, and then don't keep asking more on every video. What we're going to do is we're going to make this the announcement video. So what we're doing today is what Vince has coined the Multi-Topic Appetizer. So Vince and I today are going to ask some questions to each other to kind of get our minds going and get ready for this thing. And this will be fun. We don't know what we've written down. I know what I've written down, but we don't know what each other has written down.
You're allowed to look at yours?
Yeah.
Well, heck, I don't even know what I wrote down.
Oh, well, you really should stop going to sleep after we prepare for videos, Vince.
When I fall asleep, things just like blank out, and then I wake up later and I'm like covered in peanut butter and like there's a gerbil in my ear, and I go, man, that sounded fuzzy.
Yeah, sorry, it must be the neighbor kids again. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this the announcement video. So go ahead and start leaving your questions that you'd like us to answer sometime during the Multi-Topic Extravaganza here. We will do them this time in the order they come in instead of reverse order, and or at least we'll attempt to do it in the order they come in. And like I said, we will try to answer at least 1 question from each person. Please don't ask more than 2 at a time. And are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready to get going on this? All right, here we go. So Multi-Topic Appetizer. Vince and I are going to provide our own multi-topic questions, and as always, if you've never watched these before, this is basically a Q&A, but the reason we call it multi-topic is because, well, we're kind of long-winded, and we have a tendency to talk a little bit longer about things than you might for a normal Q&A, so you'll get a whole bunch of little mini GNNs inside of one video. The idea is, here are topics that might have been really cool to do a whole video on, but we like to do half-hour, 45-minute talk shows for GNN, and not every topic is something that we feel like we can talk about for that long. Although, I feel like Vince and I are pretty good at turning anything into a 45-minute conversation.
That's right. We'll talk about things at length.
Do you remember the video we did several years ago, Vince, about geeky standees?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, how do we get an entire video out of that? But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And Vince, you want to start?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right, Vince. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask each other questions, and we're each going to try to answer both, or we're both of us going to try to answer each question, regardless of who wrote it down, because, of course, that's how we'll do things with multi-topic. So, Vince, what is your first question, man?
Well, Mr. Captain.
That's Captain to you.
Oh, okay. Well, Logan, Mr.
Because people call me Captain Logan. Anyway, I'm sorry.
What is your dream vacation?
Wow, you opened it up with a really geeky question, Vince.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Okay, so if I could... Now you're talking like real places?
Yeah.
Like actually on Earth, real places?
Or not, if you don't... Give both. If you're interested in both, give both.
Okay, well, my joke answer is Arkham Asylum. I've always wanted to go to London.
Yeah.
And I've never been there. I had an opportunity to go in college, and unfortunately it fell through and I didn't get to go. I had my plane ticket already. I was supposed to go, have I told you about this? I was supposed to go on this week-long excursion to London, where I would have been involved in a writing project, writing articles about things in London. Yeah, it was gonna be really cool. I was gonna be part of this big magazine for KU, and I guess it's a thing they do every year. And it's a thing that's not really easy to get into, and I got in, and then some financial things happened. That was right when the recession hit.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, my wife and I had just gotten married. She got laid off, and I wasn't able to go. That was the thing. So anyway, that was unfortunate. So that's a thing that I really want to do. I've never gotten to go.
Yeah.
And then okay, I'll try to think of a fake place.
Sure.
And then you give me your real one.
All right.
Where would you go?
I think, well, my immediate reaction is I've always kind of wanted to go to Italy or Greece.
Yeah.
Or both. I mean, it's not like they're terribly far apart from each other. So, and, I mean, it's just a nice climate, and it's, I mean, there's a lot of, like, art and food culture and things of that kind in that area, and I think that'd be interesting to go to. Alternatively, I'm also kind of, when it comes to visiting places, I'm a little more interested in American places. Like, I kind of want to just tour the country. Not necessarily one in particular. Maybe pick a corner of the United States and hit some of the highlights.
Yeah, well, you're kind of an Americana guy.
Yeah, that's kind of more my thing. I always wanted to go to Italy because of the because of that food culture that they have, but I think that's really about it. But when it comes to, I'd like to go to like places where significant movies were filmed, or places where there are pieces of history that are significant. Like the Teddy Roosevelt stuff's pretty cool. Up in New York, we went to some Teddy Roosevelt stuff, and it'd be nice to go back and do a bunch of other things. So
well, you did that travel video series on New York.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm with you, man. I love traveling the country.
Mm-hmm. Which honestly, I like being in the new places. I hate driving.
Yeah, I have the same thing,
and I really hate writing.
That's all we talked about when we did the comic store trip last year. Once we got to the stores, Vince and I were like kids in a candy store, right?
We're like this is so cool.
Am I overstating things when I say that? I mean, like, you and I just lost our minds at how fun those stores were. But then you get done, you get in the car, and I got to drive for hours, and Vince has to sit in the passenger side and get a headache, and that was you know. But we knew that was going to happen, and we we got through it.
It was worth it though. So
we got through it. Geeky fictional place, Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's fair. That is a fair assessment.
Without the running for my life part, but Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Fully functioning Jurassic Park.
I would go to the theme park in Bebe's Kids. That's not true.
Where would you go, Vince?
Fake place? Man, I think this is such a cop-out answer. I'd go to the holodeck.
See, that's kind of my runner-up. If not just Deep Space Nine itself, because that station's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. I'd go to the holodeck because I'd want to...
Well, so you could go to Deep Space Nine and then you could go to Holosuite. Like, you could have your cake and eat it too there. Like pick any place in Star Trek in the 24th century, you could go to a holodeck.
Because there are scenarios that you can play out in that thing. And, I mean, you could say, I just want a time machine and go do whatever. But, that's the thing with the holodeck, though, is that you can arrange it. You don't have to go back in time and then say, well, I want to organize the greatest minds in history and have a chat.
And you don't have to worry about ruining the timeline or anything either.
Yeah, you can just do what you want. Like, sure, if they kind of know how the Blues Brothers show would have gone, you can go back to it.
Well, you can also mix and match things.
Yeah.
You could create a hodgepodge if you wanted to.
So you don't have to have one vacation.
You talk about getting the greatest minds together. I mean, like, it wouldn't necessarily be exactly accurate, of course, because you wouldn't have them there. But you get as close as possible, and then you do what Data did at the beginning of Descent, which was, by the way, the only cool thing in Descent. And luckily, is the teaser, and then you don't have to watch the rest of the episode. With Data talking to some of the greatest scientific minds, including actual Stephen Hawking, who he wanted to be in a Star Trek episode.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And yeah, it was cool. But anyway, so you can do something like that.
Yeah. What you got, Cap?
Well, Vince, my first question is, what property might you consider collecting that you're not currently collecting? And I mean, like, as a completist kind of thing, where, like, I'm gonna buy all of it. I'm gonna get as close as I can. For me, as far as things that we do already, I'm doing that with the Tick. Vince does it with Punisher, and Ghostbusters.
Doctor Doom figures.
Yeah, cool.
That's the thing that is I love a lot of them, and pretty much I have one nice figure. I wouldn't mind having a nice statue, but the trouble is that you cannot be completionist without buying the sideshow stuff.
Oh, that's
and
rough.
there
That's
is
expensive.
a
But they're
Doctor
amazing.
Doom
It was worth it.
figure statue that is this tall, from floor to hand, and it is like
You said Florida hand. I was like, where's that?
from floor to my hand.
I'm gonna go get my Florida keys and then turn the ignition and go to Florida hand.
It's 4 to 5 feet tall, and it's just amazing looking. And so you can't be completionist without doing all that stuff. So as soon as I found out all that stuff existed, I suddenly went, you know what? That's okay.
But if money were no object, yeah.
And I'm not currently collecting the Blue Beetle action figures and the Question figures, but I would collect those, and those are a fairly attainable goal. But still, you're going to be shelling out $200 for a side or a DC Direct Blue Beetle.
There's a $450 tick statue,
Oof.
and it's not that big.
Oof. What is it, like that?
No, it's bigger than that.
Okay, good. It's more like,
But
it's like that.
I don't know exactly. Well, I haven't seen one up close.
Oh, that's fair.
But I think the scale is 2 or 3 feet. It's just it's not as big as a lot of Well, maybe not even 2. No, like a foot and a half.
I think that's true of a lot of things. Like there's always that one piece. That one piece that it's just you're probably never going to buy it because it's so dang expensive.
Well, and then with the tick, one of the things that I've got to get my hands on at some point, of course, is the original newsletter that the tick was first published in.
Oh,
his first appearance is not a comic book, and I bid on one a few weeks ago. That went for just more money than I wanted to spend at the time, and wasn't in the greatest of shape. It was okay, but like I kind of and they don't come up all that often, of course, because they didn't. There weren't very many. It was a newsletter. But if that ever comes up again in really good condition, I mean, my hope is to save up a lot, and if it costs me $500 or $600 or $1,000, I really want to get my hands on it. But that's kind of the holy grail for me right now for that particular collection. As far as my answer to my own question, I would, and things that I've actually considered going to, Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
It's a thing. Appearances of Thanos and Thanos figures, but again, you still get into statues.
You've kind of started doing the thing with Thanos that I've started doing with Doctor Doom, where you're like, this looks cool and this is affordable. I'm going to get this.
Yeah, and so I buy Thanos stuff, but I'm not going after it. I started going after Galactus at one point, and I haven't gone back to it. So I've got some of the seminal early appearances of Galactus, including I want to say 3/4 of the Galactus.
Fantastic Four story arc?
Yeah, well, now I'm trying to remember if that was 3 or 4 issues. I forget, but because I forget, was it the Galactus? No, it was the Galactus trilogy, was it not?
I'd have
so
no
I've
idea.
either got 2 out of
remember.
I've either got 2 of the 3 of those, or I've got all 3 of them. I forget.
I have
but
only ever read them in collected editions, so it never occurred to me.
I
to
do
look
have
at them in issues.
some first editions of the early Galactus stuff, but I need to go back and finish doing that. It's just I got stuck on Tick and I haven't gone back to it. I'm also and this wouldn't take long. There's not a ton of it, but I'm also thinking about doing that with Cool Spot. 7-Up Spot. That was a thing that I loved when I was a kid. I loved the Super Nintendo game, and there's some. Believe it or not, there was a few things that are really neat. Like they put out those sunglasses, like the Spot sunglasses, and there's a phone, and there's a few things that are kind of neat. So eventually I might go to that, but just a few things. Oh, and Arkham City. I'd like to go back and collect everything they ever put out for Arkham City. That was a thing I wanted to do when that game came out, and the figures got expensive. But there's a lot of, and not just figures. Like they merchandise the crap out of that.
Oh yeah.
And of course they're putting out a lot of stuff for Arkham Knight also. And then I feel like if I went to Arkham City, then I probably wouldn't want to just go to all of it. But I just love that franchise, and the aesthetic is really neat. And I wouldn't mind in Arkham City, shrine or room or something. There's some great stuff there, but any other things for you, Vince? I mean, you gave me one answer and I gave you 3, but
that's all right. I give you like 3, but Blue Beetle,
right?
Question. I mean, I already have what I really want, like the key stuff from the Ted core stuff, but I'd kind of like to expand into it. But the trouble is with collecting comics and appearances, then you have to really dig to find out where they appeared, and it's just easier to look for the things that are the actual titles.
Do you go hardcore enough to where you have to have variant covers?
No.
Okay.
So The Shadow, I would go back and collect all of this, like Street and Smith Shadow comics and all the pulp novels. But that stuff, you're asking. There's a lot of those things. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Those writers.
And to be frank, we're kind of not old enough to have the definitive Shadow collection.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff that you're just never going to find again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, like, you might get lucky and somebody puts one on eBay or whatever, but there's some stuff that's just kind of close to one of a kind or one of a kind. And I've talked about Ken Keller before, the local guy who started the Kansas City Science Fiction and Fantasy Association back in the 70s, 60s or 70s. In fact, I forget how early they started that. But anyway, he has something that's very close to the definitive Shadow collection. And once he starts talking about his stuff, it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I just visit? Can I, like, bask in the glow?
Yeah. We still haven't...
Or bask in the shadow, I guess.
I get it, yeah. Well, he knows. Ken, I haven't had him on the channel in a long time, and we've talked about having him on and having him show off some of his collection for you. So
we've got Rocketeer stuff, right?
He's got Rocketeer stuff.
Ah, man.
He's got some great Rocketeer stuff.
I would be completionist on Rocketeer stuff, too, if some of that wasn't ungodly expensive.
Yeah. Well, there's some statues and stuff there, too.
Oh, my God. Statues and the Hot Toys figure, and then there's another one that's a 12-inch figure that's ridiculous. There's some pretty stuff out there, but boy, is it pricey.
Okay, what's your next one?
This is an easy question, but then I'm going to follow it up with something.
All right.
How many books are on your pull?
Okay.
And what is the ratio, approximately, of things that you're buying for the channel or things that you're buying that you would buy for yourself?
Neat question. Thanks for asking that. Right now on my pull, somewhere between 18 and 20, 15 and 20. Maybe even a couple more than that right now. And yeah, that's about normal for me, about 20. As far as for the channel or not, that gets a little bit sticky because I started reading and collecting new again because of the channel. Because I decided I wanted to start, actually reviewing comics, and I just thought that would be a fun thing to do. And as a lot of people know probably already, but if you're new to the channel, hi, you're learning things about it. I used to mostly be a collector, and of course I love superheroes, and I would read some stuff, but I had a lot of things that I just never read, and I collected more for covers and stuff. And I would read like the major events in trade, but well after they came out. And then I started doing this, and I started collecting new. So really the short answer to that is I don't know if I would be reading new at all if it weren't for the channel. I just don't know if I would have gotten back into it, into it, because I've never really... I dabbled in maybe having a pull list here and there, and occasionally I would have a couple titles, but I never went hardcore like I do now. But as far as things that I read that I wouldn't necessarily buy if it weren't for reviewing, sometimes events are that way.
Okay.
And then beyond that, though, I don't know. I mean, I think mostly I just, I like a lot of things, and it makes it, easy to... And I'm not reviewing a lot of comics right now just because I'm so behind on things. And I've got almost a long box full of stuff I haven't read right now.
Dang.
That's how behind I am on comics, because I've been trying to get Rewind back, and we've been working on, we were working on distribution for the documentary and stuff, so...
That and keeping your baby alive.
Yeah. But keeping him alive is easy. Keeping him, happy and having fun. That's a whole other ball game sometimes.
You can keep any kid alive. Just keep him clean and put the top funnel down and pour things in.
Yeah.
Kid's alive.
Yeah, that's that's really nourishing for them, Vince. It's a good educational environment. But anyway, I don't know. That's my short. How many do you have on your poll? You're way more selective than me.
I tend to fluctuate between like 8 to 12, somewhere in there. And the thing about it is that I end up getting a lot of miniseries because I collect the Dark Horse Conan stuff. So they have one monthly and they have miniseries. So sometimes there'll be 3 Conan books running at the same time. And
how's the monthly right now?
Still Fred Van Lente. His English is getting better. And he doesn't have the haves and hads and all that stuff. Have ads.
Have it.
So it's getting better, and this most recent issue has been really pretty interesting. So
that's good.
And I collect my Shadow stuff, so I have a handful of Dynamite,
that's
a handful
Brian
of Dark
Regan
Horse.
joke for anybody that was like, what in the world happened to Kevin? He got possessed there for 5 seconds. What? So poltergeist? What's going on?
Has I had it?
Has that happened? Sorry.
So
I'd like to apologize to anyone that's wearing headphones.
I think I have. It's getting to be a taller stack right now, but it's going to go down after some of these miniseries drop off. And I've, to some extent, sometimes I go, man, I want to add a miniseries, but then I'm like, well, am I going to have the time to read a new miniseries? Am I going to care? And like I started reading Southern Bastards, pretty decent, but then there's a bunch of other things that come out from lesser known writers, and I go, you know what, I'd like to try that, but then I don't, because I don't know why.
Well, and you know, I'm not as selective with comics, partly because, of course, you know, if you know, we talk about this all the time, but you know, famously for folks that know us, I'm a mainstream guy, and you're not so much, and so you know, I just read things that of characters I really like, and now writers and artists that I like I actually do keep up with some people in a way that I never used to before, because I mean, you know, am becoming a fan of certain you know creators now, but also there's a lot of stuff that that like well I was just gonna say like you know I read and collect more because it's kind of the one big hobby that I put a lot of money into now, you know, because you still buy more like you know, just collectibles and stuff that I don't really
yeah,
as much of.
It kind of depends. I don't necessarily get that stuff that much, but I would say it's in the way of how much money I spend, it's probably tilted more towards comics. But
have you ever considered, because you buy mostly minis, have you ever considered just going to trade? Because that would make sense for you, in a way. Unless you're just like me and you like flats.
I enjoy kind of the getting them and the reading them. But then again, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily mind them, because as William from Elite said, they're essentially writing graphic novels and then serializing them.
Well, that's what minis are, yeah. So. I mean, you know, I have a hard time with it in general, just because I love singles, but you know, I've just always collected that way. But like, I would have a hard time with it for ongoings because certain companies take too long to put them out. But when you're talking about
and then sometimes they pair them with other things that you cannot buy them separately from. Jerks.
Yeah. It's a cool question, Vince.
Yeah, I like it.
What is a show or a game or a movie or really anything media-wise that you love the aesthetic of but don't appreciate otherwise?
Oh.
Something that you look at it and you go, man, I wish I liked the story of this better, or I wish that I, you know, thought this was more fun, but God, it's pretty, you know, that kind of thing.
I had that reaction with Arrow. And,
oh, cool.
And I thought, you know what, this is really interesting looking. And then the more I got into it, I said, wow, I think this is really boring. And I jumped off before it got bad. So,
well, you jumped off before it got good, and then you, by extension, jumped off before it got bad.
Yeah.
Because, well, and I mean, you know, early first season is I think pretty decent, but like you left before it got awesome because first half of season 2.
I watched the first half of season 2.
Oh, did you really? Okay, because I think that stuff's fantastic.
It's all right. And I'm that guy. It's hard for me to be pleased, but love the aesthetic of. Oh man, that's a hard one to come up with anything else right now because all I can think of is Arrow. But
yeah, I have that myself sometimes.
You know, there's a lot of comics that I see the art and I'm like, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Like event books a lot of the time. The art's just super pretty because they get their superstar artist and writer on there and then they go, make this, and then this thing ends up being crap. What was the one about the Watcher? The name escapes me.
Oh, Original Sin, but it was actually really good.
Yeah. I didn't much care for it, but I enjoyed a lot of the ideas.
How much of it did you read?
All of it.
Did you finish it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, like you're just wrong. It's pretty good.
I loved the whole Nick Fury thing. I thought that was really...
What didn't you like about it?
It was just so over the top, so overblown. And that's the thing, is that I love Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing, though, is that I think what it is for me is that event books, the storyline, is just not something I get behind because there's so much to them, and that we don't get to follow a person.
Well, I'm with you there. Yeah, that's often a problem.
And I would almost have rather, instead of having that entire event, just watched the Nick Fury storyline, because that's when it got really interesting.
See, the problem, of course, is that there's a certain amount of adjustment that just happens when you read enough of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I take that for granted now. You know what I mean? Like I read and review this stuff all the time, that I'm like, yeah, that's just, you know, it comes with the territory. You're going to have too many characters in an event book now. And, you're not going to follow, you know, one or two people like you'd like to, and so I have a difficult time even making that complaint now, because I'm like, well, if I'm going to, you know, I'm reading these, and so you just get used to it. But you're not wrong
about
that. I do think Original Sin's pretty good, but
not
especially compared to other events that have come out in the last few years. I think that's one of the better ones.
Yeah, no, I didn't hate it. It's just something that didn't much appeal to me until we got toward the end, and I'm like, now this is the story Aaron wanted to tell. This is the thing that's cool.
See, I had the same reaction to Age of Ultron, not the movie, but this is getting so obnoxious because Age of Ultron was a
Brian Hitch, right?
Yeah, I think so. Was a major event, time travel thing that came out a couple years ago now, and then all of a sudden we've got a movie called it that has nothing to do with it because we're not basing movies on comics anymore. We're basing comics on movies that haven't come out yet. We're doing a certain amount of that, and so that title, I don't know if Age of Ultron as a title had already been picked and they just didn't tell us about it yet for the movie, but I suspect that's likely that might have happened, but who knows. Anyway, what was weird about that was that it really should have been a Hank Pym centered thing because it's Ultron and it's about him making this mistake that for all the right reasons but led to this AI taking over the whole world, and so the other superheroes go back in time and try to fix it, and he's there, but it's not a character piece for him. And then they do the What If Age of Ultron, and suddenly it's a character piece for Hank Pym. And I'm not saying that it's that the What If thing was better than the actual event, but it got close because it really should have been a character piece for Hank Pym, and I didn't know a lot about that character, so that was the first thing that made me go, oh, Hank Pym's really interesting, and I kind of like him now. And have you read that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I read it one because there was a Punisher appearance, so I bought one of them, and you said you should.
We're talking the whole thing. So you just read the What If one, you haven't actually read the.
Well, I went back and I looked at the synopsis of it so I could get caught up for What If because I just did not want to get into the whole thing. And after reading the plot synopsis, I went, wow, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I know it's not the same thing. Don't judge me. I'm saying that I wanted to get caught up for the thing I wanted to read.
Right.
There's so much of it out there.
I just forgot that Punisher was in that, and his part of that was kind of cool.
Yeah, at this point I've read so much Punisher, and it's just, when you do the monthlies, it kind of blends together.
Yeah.
Which is getting to be a pain in the butt. So, did you have any others that was...
I didn't really throw anything out myself.
Except for Age of Ultron.
Well, I was actually just kind of talking about that. As far because we were just talking. I forgot what the question was. That happens a lot. 9. The movie 9.
The with the little sewing guys.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That was a thing
where I was dull.
Like, it was. I don't know. It was a video game plot. I mean, like, and it was just
looked like a video game.
It was just too long. That thing was based on a short film, and the story wasn't really anything more complex than the short film. So you take the short film that was like 12, 15 minutes long, and you extend it to an hour and a half, but you're still not really, going enough, in depth with characters and stuff, and so everybody's still kind of, kind of just wooden and.
So 9.
I wasn't real impressed with it.
9 is Little Big Planet the movie.
Yeah.
And Real Steel was Rock'em Sock'em Robots the movie.
Yeah, I heard that was decent, but I didn't see it.
I tried watching a little bit of it.
Really?
I didn't get much into it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's not my thing.
That's funny. Vince watches parts of movies.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to commit the rest of the time if I'm not going to use this for anything.
I'm sure there's other things like that for me. I just, I mostly just wanted to know what yours was.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
But, yeah.
I have a...
There's an example.
I love the aesthetic of a lot of darkish things. Like, I think Tim Burton's style is appropriate for things that he doesn't actually make.
I liked the look of the Tron update for the most part. I just didn't really care for the story that much.
There you go. That's a great example. All right.
What's your next one?
Do you like collectible knickknacks, things that aren't necessarily something that you would keep for years? Do you throw these things away, like cereal boxes or whatever, or like specialty cans, or do you keep them, or alternatively, if that's too easy or vague of a question, when's an appropriate time to part with a piece of your collection that might not necessarily be a valuable collectible?
Okay, so basically the first thing you're asking is, am I a pack rat? No,
Yes.
I used to collect more stuff like that. Like back when Episode 1 came out and they had all the Star Wars cans. Like I kept some of those. I used to do that kind of thing. It's all about space for me, really. You got the stuff that you really care about, that matters a lot to you, that is either sentimental or rare, or just you've got like a complete collection of something you're trying to build. I tend to not keep stuff like that anymore. I used to do a lot more of it. And as far as when is it time to get rid of it, when you need to make space for stuff that you've decided matters more to you, or you're getting. And we've talked about this before. We did a video kind of about this once, and I'll say what I said there, which was, as I get older, I find that my tastes change a little bit. Not so much in like I don't like things I used to, but just in as far as collecting goes. I want now, much of the time, more rare, hard to get things, or one of a kind things, and stuff that is stuff that's just kind of impressive and either hard to get or I had to save up for it or whatever, instead of like the kind of little knickknacks or whatever.
Oh yeah. I used to collect more of those, like even just like a neat rock I would find or something like that.
So Vince is a pack rat, is what he's saying.
And as of about 2 years ago, I suddenly...
You do get rid of stuff, though.
Yeah. As of about 2 years ago, I went, you know what, I don't need any of this junk. Because I realized how much just stupid crap I had piled up in my parents' home. And I was like, I don't need these posters. I don't need these things, these little knickknacks from high school. And then I had this bin full of like little Burger King toys and little like belly washers, caps, and things like that. And I went, you know what, maybe Jason would like these. And I walked over and I was like, here you go, they're yours. And he was like, oh my God, look at all this crap.
Every now and again, he pulls that tin out, and I've got to open it for him because it's like hard to get out.
It's hard to open for an adult. I go, come on.
I got some of Vince's old posters that way too.
Yeah, and I kept the ones that were kind of meaningful to me, but I don't have anywhere to hang them right now because I actually have actual artwork on the walls.
That's where I'm at now. In fact, the Batman stuff is starting to pile up down here to the point where I've got posters that I'm looking at and going, oh, I might have to take some of you down, and I don't want to have to do that, but yeah, I'm buying a lot of artwork, and I gotta get my Sarah Lance up here someplace, and I know it's not Batman, but it's close enough.
Put her in the game room.
Arrow's kind of a Batman show. Vince. Yeah, I know, but then I got to take something down in there. I don't know. Vince, if you had to watch a horror film on a loop for 24 straight hours, what would it be?
Oh.
If you had to subject yourself to 24 hours of a scary movie, what would you pick?
The Thing.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice.
That one, I love that movie. I almost said American Psycho.
You did not skip a beat when you said that.
But that, here's the deal. The thing that made me open to watching horror movies was Freddy vs. Jason. When I realized how dumb it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? These kills aren't necessarily scary. They're just kind of over the top.
Yeah.
And then the thing that made me enjoy
it's a goofy spectacle. Yeah, you got to look at it as an adult cartoon, kind of,
Yeah, exactly. And I went, you know what? A lot of this is pretty funny. And like when Johnny, they went over a bunch of the old kills that were.
It's
in the
gratuitous and it knows it, and it's kind of funny about that. It's tongue in cheek, yeah.
When Johnny Depp gets pulled down into his bed, and then this ridiculous river of blood hits the ceiling, I'm like, this is insane.
I haven't seen that in so long. I didn't remember that was Johnny Depp. Is it really?
Oh yeah, in the first movie.
Wow, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, at the beginning of. They managed to desensitize me all at once with that because they had a bunch of the creative kills right there at the beginning of the movie. And they went back through Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and like, look how everybody died. And when I saw all this stuff, I went, wow, this is the thing I was afraid of. This ridiculous cartoon stuff. And then The Thing came out. The Thing came out 20 years before that, and and then a friend of mine said,
Freddy vs. Jason was what? 2000, 2001?
2000.
No, it was earlier than that. I was in high school.
Yeah. Are you sure?
I think. We'll look it up. I don't have my phone sitting here, but
I have no idea.
We'll look it up.
But And then a friend of mine said, well, if you thought that was just kind of funny, if you want to see an actual like decent horror movie, here, watch The Thing. And that was solid.
See, The Thing is borderline as far as horror goes, though, right? Like, I would put it in the same category as, like, Alien or something, where it's got horror elements, but it's more of sci-fi thriller. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't count, but it's kind of, it's iffy. I mean, I feel like Jaws is that way.
Yeah.
Not that Jaws is a sci-fi movie. I'm just saying that, like, it's more of a suspense thriller than it is, like, jump scare, freak you out in your seat or whatever.
Which, I mean, in my mind, that's the good kind of horror movie. That's the good, scary movie.
Then I feel like there's a lot of things that fall in that category that people don't necessarily always think of, putting it there. But
the best horror movie ever made is one that's I would not want to watch on a loop.
Yeah.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah, and see, that's where I'm at, and I have a tough time. I mean, that's where I'm at in having a tough time picking what you put on a loop, because it's like the best horror movie. If it's if it's really good at scaring you, you wouldn't want to watch it on a loop, because for two reasons. First of all, if it's scary enough that it could actually scare you like 10, 12 times in a row, then that sucks. Second of all, if it can't because you get desensitized, you want to be that kind of desensitized. Yeah. That's kind of the question. So I don't know what I would pick. I'm honestly, once again, that was kind of a what would Vince say. There's a part of me that
I asked you a question that only you could answer.
There's a part of me that wants to see Poltergeist because I love Poltergeist.
That's fun.
But I don't know if I want to listen to the Harpy Lady that many times in a row. That might be, I don't know. But I don't know. Like, that's a really creative, visually kind of movie. So you at least have that kind of stimulation. There's a part of me that almost wants to say, find one that's like 3 hours long, so you don't have to watch it as many times.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you know what I mean, like just have some kind of a strategy for this, have some tactics. But yeah, I don't know what else. Maybe Sharknado, because it's hilarious. And you could maybe stand the goofy laugh kind of over. I mean, maybe something like Freddy vs. Jason I could stand. Yeah. On a loop, just because
I think one that's supposed to be really funny. It'd
be easier to turn your brain off.
And if you want to call it a horror movie, I think it was originally billed as a horror movie. I could do Gremlins.
Yeah, see, that's another one that I think is really borderline.
Yeah, that one's. See, that was the thing though, is that I think they tried to make a horror movie that was kind of funny, and then people thought it was really funny, and then they tried to make a comedy that had some kind of scary things in it, and it really wasn't very funny.
Yeah, well, Gremlins got so popular that it became. I mean, like there was a lot of merchandising for kids and stuff with that after the first one, right? Like the second one, it seemed like was kind of geared almost more toward families or something.
Yeah, like they came out with. I mean, even after the fact, they had a Gizmo Furby. So a bunch of ridiculous stuff.
It was the same thing as RoboCop, where you're like, that's not for kids. What's that? What's going on?
There's a guy being melted by toxic waste.
What are we? One more?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you do to relax?
Make videos.
What do you do
to relax?
To decompress? Now, the reason I ask this is that, when we were kids, the thing we probably would have done was go to see a movie or read a comic book or whatever. And I find that even now, and I've realized that I'm not necessarily as deep into it as you are here. So sometimes when I go watch a movie, I feel like I'm, doing homework.
And I feel like that a lot of the time, and that's not always a bad thing. It's the kind of homework that I enjoy doing. But yes, you're right. I mean, as I've said before, probably 80 or 90 or more % of what of the entertainment that I consume is either for videos or ends up being for a video. Ends up being something that I'm watching. It's, and I don't do enough of it just because I'm working a lot. It's old school video games.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And again, I even have platforming hour, but I don't always have to do it that way. And even when I'm talking over a game and recording it, it doesn't feel like work. I mean, I'm just playing and goofing off. So, that's fun. And you're going to laugh at me maybe or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe you're like this too. You know how you are a really like organized kind of person. Like you've got that you've got that kind of personality where you have to be really organized.
Yeah, everything's organized and clean, and the ants still keep coming into my house.
Really?
I got ant traps everywhere.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Anyway,
well, I feel like I just opened a can of ants there, but
ants are really bad in Kansas right now. Just so anybody's like,
we've got some popping up in our bathrooms more than anything, which is weird. Yeah,
I
don't know why we're talking about this.
It keeps coming in our kitchen to our front door.
Yeah, but you know, it's getting me, but it's getting me in the mood for the movie. You know, so it's all right. No, for Ant-Man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about ants.
No, but so here's what's really funny. I am not that way. I'm I mean, I try to stay organized as far as you know, having a schedule and you know, knowing what's coming up and what I'm supposed to be doing and stuff like that. But I'm not the kind of person that's like color coordinated and everything's got to be alphabetized and that sort of thing. And I can live in a little bit of clutter. You know what I mean? Like you know, I try to clean up a little bit, but I don't have to, you know, have a perfect house.
My shirts are organized by color.
See, yeah, I'm just not like I gotta be a little more loose. I don't like to be that structured. I like to be a little bit. I'm not relaxed if I'm that way all the time with everything. But one of the things that I do to relax is organize and catalog comic books. Believe it or not, I don't know why, but I find that incredibly relaxing.
That's fair.
I let them stack up, and then I spend 3 or 4 hours doing that. And I don't know why. I really like that. That really mellows me out. Isn't that weird? Yeah. What do you do when it's not movies or comics or whatever?
Well, I find that seeing a new movie is not necessarily relaxing to me.
It's not to me anymore either.
And I find that leisure reading is not relaxing to me.
See, that can be for me, but my problem is I have a tendency to fall asleep.
Yeah. And so the big thing I do to relax, and I don't necessarily even buy stuff, but I surf eBay.
Oh, interesting.
And
wow, okay, cool.
Keep coming up with these like different things to follow on eBay because now they have this your feed thing.
Oh,
and,
cool.
So
I didn't even know about that. Wow.
I tried to find ways.
Are we getting into an age where Vince knows eBay better than I do?
Well,
because that would be amazing. I mean, you've even sold now, so like.
Yeah, that's true. But it's less from the selling point of view that I have more experience. It's more just kind of this browsing thing because now it has organized itself halfway, not exactly, and I think it's better than Pinterest actually, but it's kind of like Pinterest in the fact that you can follow different things, and but the beauty of it is you can follow searches as opposed to following a dealer. Now you can follow dealers, so whatever they post comes up in your feed, but for me I have like 27 things that I follow. And I ended up following things like I followed the Phantom, and then I put in a bunch of stuff to take out the so I could get the Lee Falk's Phantom, and because you know not everybody knows who Lee Falk is, but they know what the Phantom is.
Heck, not everybody can say it in the middle of a sentence. Apparently.
So I put in the Phantom, and then in this search that you can follow, the whole search, you put in what you want and then the things you don't want. So I took of the opera, and then there was a bunch of things that I kept finding, like, and then I put stuff in because, you know, sometimes I want to find things for my wife. So I put in bust. And so I can find, you know, little statues. And so I'll have like 2 different kinds of bust searches.
His wife's a giant history buff.
She loves the natural history things, national parks, the historical sites. She has a
bunch of busts of like presidents and stuff. Some of those get really funny.
And we have a giant Beethoven, which
yes, and he's in fact like 3 times bigger than most of them. He's just freaking enormous, that thing.
It is huge.
It's hilarious,
and it's life size, maybe even just a little bigger than life size. And
as far as the head, not like the head's as big as a body.
It's this. It's a bust. It's the chest up, no arms.
It's enormous.
And we found that thing at an antique store, and that's another thing that I kind of do to decompress is, you know, spend time with the wife. I just said the wife. Spend time with my wife, and
You've been married 7 years. I don't think I said that one time.
You know, the little lady.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that bothers me, by the way. Really, the little lady, my old man. You know, the old lady. Like, what's old man is your dad, but apparently little lady and old lady is your wife. I don't like, that's creepy. I don't know. The relation there is too much for me.
I don't understand that. It's really interesting that the junking thing is something you do to relax because I grew up in that business.
Yeah, and I have eBay and junking, and then this was his livelihood for a while.
Yeah, well, and of course, I find it really relaxing myself too. You know what we should do together that we've never done together, and we should bring a camera and see if some people will let us film. This would be really. I've actually thought about doing a series on this. You and I, some weekend, should go to some yard sales. Because yard sales, one of my favorite things to do is to go run through yard sales. And out here, when we get into this time of year, it's pretty boss out here. There's a lot of cool ones.
It's hardly ever occurred to me to go to a yard sale.
You come with me.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I've always wanted to do like sort of a reality show where it's like find the best yard sale on a Saturday morning. You know what I mean? So you go to a bunch, and then at the end you gauge it, and like you make a video, and then you're like, here's the best yard sale we found, you know, and
one of my favorite
neatest
things.
find or like weirdest find, or like you know thing that no one's going to buy. I just know it, you know, like
I love.
That's a show I've always wanted to do.
I've talked people down.
0 views.
I've talked people down on their comics because everybody thinks they have gold. I'm like, look.
Yeah, yard sales are at
at yard sales.
Yeah.
Like you go to a place and they're like selling each book for $3 a piece, and I'm like, they weren't even worth that much at cover price. And
the thing about it, of course, is that you got to be careful with that because you go back even to the '90s and you're going to have some stuff that is worth that or more now that wasn't that on cover price.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But a lot of them, and they're
things
all
that
beat
are too
up.
super mass produced.
And same thing at antique stores. That a lot of these people have like just a stack of comics that I know what they are, and I know nobody wants them.
Yeah.
And they're selling them for $3 to $5 a piece. And I'm like, you guys are dumb.
Yeah, and you know they've probably been sitting in that booth for 5 years.
You guys probably spent $1.50 to $2 each on those things, and said, I'm gonna make money. Like, no, they made money.
Those people don't know about the crash.
Yeah.
Those people don't know that ever happened. And what is this wisdom, air quotes, of if it was the most popular thing in the world, it must be the thing that's worth the most.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Usually, the most popular things, especially when we get into comics, are things that were super mass produced, especially in the 90s, you know what I mean? They made 1 million copies. And it's like, yeah, everybody bought it. It's not, it's like, and then you get some things that, of course, are really popular now that weren't at a time, but most of that's, before that. And
see, I think part of the problem is that people buy those super popular things to sell.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're all in the market. Well, not all of them, but then you have people who buy stuff and they're going to keep it. So there's a good 10-year period where you just can't get it. So 10 years from now, it's going to be cheap as heck because suddenly everybody's going to put their stuff on the market. But
that's right.
For 10 years, if you want to get rid of it and get some money, now's the time. What you got, Kat?
I just can't believe you and I both kind of have that with.
It's purely because of my wife.
I even
and
have
eBay
that.
is purely because of their search feature.
Oh, okay. This is really interesting because that I grew up that way. I also would love to start going back to auctions, and I wish we had regular auctions around here.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was the thing I grew up in and I loved. And I don't mean like auctions for big equipment, cars and things. I mean like just stuff.
Oh, and Craigslist too.
Yeah.
I also like searching on Craigslist, and every so often I'll find crazy people that. Like I found a guy trying to sell a neutrino wand for the Ghostbusters gun thing.
Speaking of, nice segue, my last question is, what is something that you always wanted when you were a kid and never were able to get? Like something maybe you asked for Christmas, never got, that kind of thing. Things maybe you saw in the store or on TV where you're like, oh man, I gotta have that, and you never got it.
I have a few things, and the thing about it is that not all of them are terribly expensive. I mean, I guess maybe other things took priority. Like I always wanted Rock'em Sock'em Robots when I was a kid.
Really?
Never had it, and I don't think we ever got it. But I really wanted Guess Who.
Oh, weird.
And like we got lots of board
I had
games,
that.
which now at this point I'm not sure if we got it, but I know somebody that had it, so I got to play it every so often. Other thing that I really wanted that Krang body.
Yeah.
I wanted that one.
Yep.
The drill, I wanted the drill.
Me too. It all goes back to Ninja Turtle figures.
Ghostbusters Firehouse, I really wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what my big one is for Ninja Turtles? Technodrome.
Oh yeah, I had that one.
Yeah.
And
I never had it.
I totally would have sold it to you.
I know. But yours wasn't complete.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't think it was. Well,
I would have sold it to you, but my brother wanted it. So.
I know. Well, fair enough. I mean, if it had been me, I would have kept it.
Things down the middle, and I was like, here, take it, whatever.
If I ever get a complete Technodrome, it's going to cost me between $150 and $200 to get a complete one. I mean, you can get some really close for a lot cheaper than that, but if I get one, I want a complete one.
The general going rate
is a lot easier to get, but
yeah. The general going rate, I think, is around about $80 for mostly complete.
Mm-hmm.
But And you know, that's a rant that I could even have, is that people who try to sell like the little tiny pieces of things, like it's one thing when I see that they're selling pieces from an incomplete one, that's fine. But then you go on their site and it's obviously just torn something apart and they're selling it.
It is really nice when people will have like, I mean, nickel and diamond you, where they piece it out and they have like every piece, or like a card set where they had a complete card set and they split it up and they have like $2 a piece or whatever it is. But it's nice when somebody is like, okay, I found a bunch of Technodrome parts. You just put them all up in one lot. That's nice. I mean, it's nice for people to do that because you might need those. You might get an incomplete one and then you can fill it in. So that's kind of nice. And even if you're not selling the individual ones for too crazy expensive, you might have one piece you need. So that could be really useful.
Yeah, I have a mostly complete turtle lair. There's one piece I'm missing, so it wouldn't be terrible to find the little fire hydrant that goes on top. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind that.
So the Technodrome was a big one for me, the drill thing. There was a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff that I just never had. I always wanted more Lego kits.
Yeah.
I never really got huge into Legos. The big one I always wanted was the giant TIE fighter. Never had that. I'm not a giant Star Wars buff. I guess I'm getting more into Star Wars these days because I really like some of what's going on with Star Wars now after Disney got it. But I don't know why I love the TIE fighter design. I always wanted that.
I always really wanted like some of the more action-oriented type things. You could basically build your own action figure out of it, and like the Bionicle things. I had one of those. I always wanted more.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those things are kind of fun, and they made more than just those things. I think those are kind of fallen out of the popularity for the action figure build, because they didn't technically look like action figures. They looked like Lego pieces that had special abilities. You could like fling shit across the room. Pardon the expression.
Oh my god, I can't believe you did that!
I did that.
Whoa! You got a little relaxed there, man.
Yeah.
One thing that relaxes Vince is having these conversations.
Yeah, that's fair.
I never had the 89 Batwing. And I never had the 89, the big, to scale with the figures 89 Batmobile. I had the animated series Batcave. I didn't have the 89 one, but all those Batcaves were the exact same toy but repainted and with different decals, going all the way, if memory serves, to Batman and Robin. There is a Batman and Robin Batcave that is the 89 Batcave.
Really?
I'm pretty sure, and they just kept repackaging it. The one for animated series, I mean, it was for an animated show. It's the same thing.
Huh.
They just kept remaking it. I mean, like, every movie after Batman Returns, Batman Returns had the same Batcave, and then after that, I think a little changed up. The same thing. And they had a total redesign for Batman Forever. Not if you bought it to play with. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I got that one time. I didn't feel the need to keep buying it.
That's fair.
Isn't that crazy?
The turtle lair was something I always wanted when I was a kid.
You got it now.
I picked it up later. I bought it incomplete for $20.
And here's another follow-up, real quick question. Are there things that you had when you were a kid that you somehow rather lost or had to get rid of that you're trying to buy back now, or that you might want to buy back now? I have many things like that.
The one thing that sticks out in my mind was...
I've actually bought back quite a bit, but...
My brother and I were acting up and acting inappropriately. And I don't even remember what we did now. And
it's a colloquialism. You might not be familiar with that, so Vince felt the need to to explain himself.
We were acting inappropriately. We were walking with our hands and, trying to eat with our feet.
You were trying to be Sebulba from Star Wars Episode 1?
Yes. So...
He was driving his mom's car like that, like a pod racer, like with his feet. I'm sorry.
And my mom made us get rid of the couple of our Ghostbusters costume pieces.
Oh, really?
Like, as punishment. So we got rid of our ghost trap, which subsequently I found for $10.
Whoa!
And still functioning, still in good condition.
Still catches ghosts. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It didn't have the little ghost that came with it, but whatever. I just wanted the trap itself because I never had the little ghost that came with it.
Oh, okay. So whatever.
Yeah.
I am trying to get. I just haven't gotten around to getting it again. I'm trying to get a 32X again, and some people are like, "Why?"
That is one big shirt.
That's so. That's such a horrible system. Why would you want that? Because I loved Knuckles Chaotix, and I haven't got to play it in a long time. And that was a game that I played a lot when I was you know, a kid coming into a teenager. And my dad, there were a few systems that I took with me when I moved back to my mom's house when I was like 12, 13. And then there were some systems that my dad and my stepmom kept. So there were some things that I bought with my own money, and all that stuff I hung on to. And there was some stuff that, of course, I didn't, that they kept. And so I had to rebuy my 64 and some different systems like that.
Right.
And 32X I've just never gotten back around to getting. And, of course, it's gotten more expensive over the years because it's, you know, gotten a little bit rarer. And I'm sure a lot of people that hated it set it on fire. So there just aren't as many as there used to be. And so anyway, and then Knuckles Chaotix is not cheap either. It's, you know, 50, 60 bucks. And I would pretty much buy that just for that game. I don't even know if I would buy very many other games for it. Well, Virtua Fighter 2. Or no, Virtua Fighter. Just to have a complete collection of Virtua Fighter games because, of course, I love Virtua Fighter. That's another thing I'd like to have a complete collection of. Virtua Fighter stuff, and there was not much in the way of merchandising. But
I could not remember. I was trying to think of it the other day. I was like, is it Tekken or is it Virtua Fighter?
I love Tekken also. I like them both, but I like Virtua Fighter more. I just play more of it.
Yeah.
The Tekken game that they put out. I forget if it was 6 or some other time. I forget what, but it was a Tekken game that came out a couple of years ago, I think, for 360 that I never got, that I need to get my hands on.
And which one is it with the guy with the bald spot here, big white spiky hair? On both sides.
I don't write off, no. Are you talking, what game?
I can't remember.
Or are you trying to come up with a game?
I'm trying to remember which one it was. It's either Tekken or Virtua Fighter. Where there's a guy with white hair.
No, that's Tekken, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Virtua Fighter characters aren't as exaggerated because that game was like Tekken had supernatural stuff and Virtua Fighter was trying to simulate like real fighting with the exception of being able to jump like you can go all the way to the moon, which they finally got rid of in Virtua Fighter 3, and so it was a lot more like, you know, so the gimmick of that game, of course, was everybody's got a different fighting style. For the most part, you had some characters where it's like they're related and they fight similarly, but it was like, you know, what would it be like to put a bunch of different, you know, drunken boxing versus like straight up, you know, like a karate or whatever.
Which is a much better idea than where it seems to be that the I don't know about the new one, but the Mortal Kombat games from like PS3 and backwards, they oh my god, just the idea that you have to know all of their combos to use the characters at all effectively.
Yeah, and Virtua Fighter, there's definitely some of that. I mean, you know, there are certain moves that you really need to know how to do in order to fight real well. But you know, Tekken has that to a degree, but I think it's a little bit easier to pick up and play.
See, I just like a fighting game where it's more about technique than it is about remembering a bunch of like, and then suddenly he pulls off this amazing move, and you don't have to do anything during the amazing move. Like that annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah, where it's almost like code, you know? Yeah. It's like, I know the code, you know, I know the password, and I've made this guy do this thing.
I'm like, good for you. You remembered something. Meanwhile, Vince pauses the game, goes over and gets his game guide and looks through it and then goes, all right, does it, he executes, you pause it, and you go back and you look for the next one. So, that's no fun.
Well, anyway, this concludes our what do we call this? The
Multi-Topic Extravaganza.
The Multi-Topic Appetizer. And thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. So we are going to be doing now for the next several weeks the Multi-Topic Extravaganza for 2015. I want to see if this is Multi-Topic 5. 4 or 5. So yeah, we've been doing this for several years now, and so please go ahead and leave questions if you are so inclined. As I said, please don't leave more than 2, and we will answer as many as humanly possible over the next couple of months. We'll see you again next week. I'm Captain Logan,
and I'm Vince, reminding you to support your local comic book store.
Thanks for watching.